This morning, Brooklyn is worldwide, coming to us here with Congresswoman Yvette Clark. It's good. It's good to see you this morning, Congresswoman. She's in the genealogy of the great Shirley Chisholm, who, of course, we remember being the first black woman and Caribbean American elected to Congress. And in that 9th district in New York, Yvette Clark continues in that work. She has done so much work. She's done work around the Multicultural Media Caucus, Smart Cities Caucus, co-chair of the Congressional Caucus on Black Women and Girls, the Medicare for All Caucus. She has co-chaired that as well. Before she joined the United States Congress and House of Representatives, of course, she was on New York City Council, 40th District of New York, and of course the name Clark, and that's Clark with an E. These proud daughters of Jamaica, of course, her mother Una Clark, the great legend there, the first mother-daughter succession in City Council history. Congresswoman Clark, I remember the first time that I got a chance to be in community with you. You had come up to Howard University to have a forum about immigration, because a lot of people don't realize, we think about immigration, and the face of immigration for black people is the Caribbean, is Africa, and you've been a leader in that work, in addition to being the founding co-chair of the House Caribbean and House Haiti caucuses. It's an honor and a privilege to have you join us here in the Black Eagles Nest, Congresswoman Clark. Welcome.
Good morning. So, Greg, we're having some cross currents here
Okay.
with some other audibly, something else is also running in the background.
Oh,
So I'm not hearing you as clearly. Can you hear me?
yeah,
We can hear you
crystal
clearly.
clear. And the
Yeah.
devil is a liar. You can just talk, Congresswoman. So you can just
Okay,
tell us.
very. Let me. So I missed the end of your statement.
Yes, ma'am.
I did hear you talk about my background and the work that I've done around immigration.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to just say that, yes, there are immigrants of African descent that have been coming to the United States for generations now. I'm the daughter of two Jamaican immigrants that came to the United States as foreign students. My mom, the Honorable Dr. Una Clark, was the first foreign-born woman elected to the New York City Council.
Yes.
And so our contributions to the growth and development of our communities, of our nation, for my parents, an adopted homeland, but for me, born and raised in Brooklyn, where Brooklyn at, I have consistently been a voice for those who have a similar lived experience
Yes, ma'am.
and have for many generations now.
Yes, ma'am. Well, we want to certainly ask you for your insight and your perspective on what is going on now in Haiti as a founding co-chair of the House Haiti Caucus and the House Caribbean Caucus. But before we do, it wouldn't be responsible if we didn't ask you your thoughts about last night, the debate.
Well, the debate last night was extraordinary.
Hmm.
Vice President Kamala Harris really indicated that she's ready to be commander in chief on the first day once she's sworn in. The contrast was glaring. Donald Trump did not know how to manage himself, which is what we all expected. But I think that Kamala's presence, her command of the issue, and her response to his nonsense made it clear who the adult was at the podium. And so I am just honored to be one of the many, many across this nation who are working night and day to make sure that Vice President Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, who I served with here in the House of Representatives, will be the next president and vice president of the United States. Make no mistake, Donald Trump, though confused and a bit crazy in my humble estimation, is an existential threat to the development of our nation moving forward. It is very clear that he harbors, racist ideologies and gives permission, has a permission structure that enables those, that subset, if you will, that subculture of racists
Yes, ma'am.
to feel empowered.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is the antidote to
Mm.
those who are suffering from that illness. And I'm excited about her plan for our nation, her economic agenda for our community, and again, her breadth and depth of knowledge of what is happening in our nation and what needs to happen going forward.
Yes, ma'am. You've led for so many years in thinking about Black America, not only in a national sense here in the United States, but in a global sense. And of course, Congressional Black Caucus Week is here upon us, and we send our students down to be in community with everyone there and just get so much information. Here we are at a moment, and there was only a 90-minute debate, so obviously there were things that I think we would have all liked to have heard from the vice president on, and one of them that you just couldn't put in, and one of them was Haiti. You have with the work you've done with Haiti and the Greater Caribbean. How should we be thinking about what is going on now? I think Prime Minister Coney is in town, if memory serves me correctly, but I think he may be participating in some of the panels this week. Any thoughts on how we should be thinking about the current crisis in Haiti?
Absolutely. Haiti is one of our closest neighbors within the Western Hemisphere. The historic nature of that first Black republic uh, has always put that nation at a disadvantage within the community of nations. And notwithstanding that, the people of that nation have risen to the occasion to do everything within their power to live a wholesome and productive life. The
Mm-hmm.
meddling,
Mm.
let's put it that way, the meddling of other powers, if you will, United States included, have really been an obstacle to the well-being and the governance of the people of Haiti. So we have an obligation here in the United States. Those of us who understand and have lived under democracy, uh, since let's put it this way, since the civil rights movement,
Yes, ma'am. Exactly.
right?
Yes.
Understand what it is to have the freedom to live a life full of productivity and full of dignity. And so I am uh, anxiously awaiting the work that is being done right now to stabilize the nation
Mm-hmm.
from the violent anarchistic um, um, powers that have seized this moment, this vacuum in governance
Mm-hmm.
to terrorize its own people.
Mm-hmm.
And now that the Kenyan-led troops are on the ground to really be a counterweight to the gang activity that has been terrorizing the average everyday Haitian, we have to be prepared to walk shoulder to shoulder with those who are in the midst of creating a 21st century governance structure for the people of Haiti. And, we need to be there as a partner to help the people of Haiti to raise up their economy, reestablish their educational institutions, and make it possible again for the people of Haiti, which is a very young population,
Mm-hmm.
to live out their best lives
Mm.
and to build momentum towards a day when all of the pain and suffering that they've endured will be nothing but a footnote in the history of this nation.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Congressman Clark, we're up against a break right here, and we got started with you a little late. Do you mind taking a few extra minutes to speak more with us? I got some questions
Not at
about.
all,
All
Mom.
right.
Not at all.
All right.
I'm on. I'm on.
All right, there we go. All right, we're going to take a quick break. It's Urban View Mornings, 3 minutes in front of the top of the hour.
Top of the hour, everybody. All clear, all clear.
All right. Apologies for any of the audio disruptions.
Yes.
Sorry,
We're working on that.
Yes, ma'am.
Hopefully we got
Okay,
it
how's it
squared
sound? Is it sound any better? Do you
Yes,
still hear
it's
anything?
cleared now. It's cleared
Yeah.
now.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I
Much
was
better.
getting, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I
absolutely.
apologize.
Okay.
I apologize. I'm sorry.
All right. When we come back, I want to ask you about your work on the Smart Cities Caucus. So that's where I'm going.
Yeah, if you're in the mood to slap some people around this morning, Congresswoman, we can ask you about these cats and dogs, but I ain't know if you want to get into that mess. I mean, because I know you issued that statement on anti-immigrant disinformation. I don't know if you want to talk about that in the
Oh,
context.
sure, absolutely.
We can do that first.
Yeah. No. You sure?
Yeah, we could
Okay.
bring that and then I'll circle.
Yeah, because I mean, come on, man. These
Yeah,
people are buck.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, are you serious right now? Have you I mean, you know, these local officials, you know, they want the immigrants, right? They say the Haitians show up on time, they bust they why, and then you're gonna start talking about they
And
eating
there are
pets.
parts of the country where our farming industry has been in a rapid
Yeah,
decline
let's talk
because
about
they
that.
don't have that the workers to produce what we can produce in this country. I mean, every industry
The clip is
has
ready.
utilized immigrants
Which one is
to a
it?
large extent,
The Dr.
including
Carl
tech,
wants for
including tech.
Yes,
Clark.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so then maybe when we come back, we can lead with the statement you released yesterday on
1 minute,
anti-immigrant
everybody.
disinformation, and maybe use
Yeah.
Trump's foolishness as
That's
a
the
point of
audio.
entry to let you.
That's the audio you're talking about.
No. Oh,
No,
no.
she said she got it.
Oh yeah, I sent it. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm Congresswoman. Yeah, Cassie, that was that's for later. That's Kristen Clark on the voting.
Okay.
Yeah, say if they messed up your voting,
Okay.
yeah. Kristen Clark, not to be y'all not wait, y'all,
We're,
she's
we're, we're,
second.
we're, she is Jamaican, so we are
Yeah.
trying to see whether in fact we are related.
Yeah, our cousins, no question. That's a beautiful
Absolutely.
thing. I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, so we about to
Yeah,
come
we
back.
can do that. Yeah.
About 15
We'll
seconds.
go straight
Yes,
to
sir. Okay, Councilman, we'll jump right back in and ask you about that. All right. Yeah, that must be.
That. It was
Cassie-
right now while you were talking.
Oh, they
Everybody
were.
stand
They
by.
were
Hold
right
on.
there. Yeah.
And now, Urban View Mornings with Greg Carr and Lamont King.
For double zeros, it is 9 o'clock, top of the hour, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Check your time zones, check your speed. You're tuned in to Urban View Mornings on channel 126. We're talking powers and becomes action. That's Dr. Greg Carr right here. Lamont King is with you, and we're being joined by Congresswoman Yvette Clark of New York.
Yes.
And we were talking about anti-Haitian,
Yes.
anti-immigrant sentiment that's been, promoted and propagated at the highest level.
No question.
In the most insane of ways.
Indeed.
And just your thoughts quickly on what that means to that community, what that means to you, and the pros and cons, the lasting effects of that.
Yeah, so unfortunately, that has been par for the course with the MAGA crowd.
Yeah.
With Donald Trump as their leader. They have been overtly racist, xenophobic in their propaganda, trying to pit, longtime stakeholders, as I call it, Americans, against those who are new immigrants who are seeking a better life. Who are looking for refuge from calamitous circumstances in their homes of origin. And so, we have seen a resurgence of this type of vile indignity towards people of African descent. And it's really sad that there is a quarter where this type of vitriol can be accepted in the United States of America. But be that as it may, we are strong people. This is the African has been the African descendant has been resilient in the face of hatred, bigotry, discrimination. We still rise. And so at the end of the day, so will these individuals that are being stigmatized and demonized by the MAGA crowd. But it says more about that crowd, quite frankly, uh, and their small-mindedness and their contradictions in many ways, because these are the same folks who are looking to communities of color to help in terms of expanding our economy and bringing jobs and opportunities through small business to the economy. So, it's sad. And it has to come to an end. And I think that to a large extent, I say a lot of hope in our young people. They don't want to carry that baggage. They are far more multicultural than one would be led to believe by those who grab the microphone and the cameras to spew this type of hatred and bigotry towards people of African descent, people of color.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you made that point during the break. How the cynicism of that crowd, a lot of local officials, even state level officials, governors, and very quietly, while they may spew that anti-immigrant rhetoric, they are relying. And you were talking about how so many communities in this country, some places where people might least suspect they would, are relying very heavily on immigrants, including immigrants from the Caribbean and immigrants from the continent of Africa itself. And so, yeah, you say one thing in social
There's not
media.
an industry in the United States of America that does not have a reliance on the talent, the skill, the expertise of immigrants. From our industrial food industry to our tech industry. There you will find individuals who are dedicating themselves and contributing to the strengthening and undergirding of our economy. And so these folks are really off base. But again, they come from a legacy of bigotry and
Yeah,
hatred and discrimination, and can't seem to extract themselves from it.
yeah,
It says again more about them than it does about the people they malign.
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, actually, before you ask a question, I do want to follow up just a moment, Congresswoman. Uh, Coming out of the People's Republic of Brooklyn, which is very different than some other places in the country in terms of the polyglot. I mean, black folk from all over the world, in New York City, it is a different sensibility. How do we grapple with this question of, I hate to say it, but for a lack of a better term, black nativism? This kind of anti-immigrant sentiment that
Mm.
unfortunately has been weaponized in social media. We have black folk who want to draw a distinction between, where and how we arrived in the United States. How do we grapple with that question? I know you've had
Well,
to
I've
grapple with
I've
it.
often said, that we need to, we've been so cut off from our history that it becomes easy to divide and conquer. That has been the strategy since we were kidnapped and brought to these shores and brutalized, right? And I always try to remind people that some of our most historic figures were maybe two generations from that African that was
Yes,
bought as chattel slaves to the
yes,
United States of America. And while it was not their choice to come to the United States on under those horrific circumstances, at the end of the day, they were not native to the United States of America. They were bought from the continent of Africa. They were spread throughout the Western Hemisphere from Brazil to Haiti. And so we're all cousins.
that's
and,
right,
and
that's
and
right.
at the end of the day, I have as much honor given to Harriet Tubman, to
Yes,
Sojourner Truth, as
yes.
I give to Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X.
Yes. Yes, I love that. I love that.
That's real. All right, I want to talk a bit about some of your policy work, specifically with as co-chair of the Smart Cities Caucus, co-chair of the Multicultural Media Caucus. It says here in the advance that we get from your office that you believe in smart technology will make communities more sustainable, resilient, and livable, and you're working hard to ensure that communities of color are not left behind while these technological advancements are made. When we talked earlier about AI and how there's so many different types of AI and so many different things that AI is being used for. With regards to the work that you're doing, how do we ensure that those of us who are on one side of the digital divide, who are on one side of the gap, um, can catch up and keep up? How,
Yeah,
how,
well,
how does that work?
so it works in a number of ways. One, it works through our educational systems and institutions and investments made to make sure that from K through 12 preschool through community colleges, four-year institutions, that our scholars are engaged at the fundamental levels in this technological revolution. In addition to that, it is making sure that we have uh, training opportunities so that those who have fundamentals in technology, we all have fundamentals in technology, can parlay those skills and inclinations into uh, you, either entrepreneurship
Hmm.
and or opportunities within the private sector. And I'm so honored to say that the Congressional Black Caucus has grown to 60 strong. We're on
Wow.
every committee of jurisdiction in the House of Representatives, and we're soon to have at least three uh, uh, members of Congress, excuse me, of the U.S. Senate
Yes.
that will be of African descent in the next
Mm.
Congress.
Yes.
Our lived experiences, our viewpoint will be embedded in every law that is passed with respect to technology, both its advances and mitigating its harms. And one of the things that I have done is I've sort of put myself up front and center in this space because I really believe that, and I have for some time, that if we don't manage this in a way in which there's diversity in the tech space, then we will be at a severe disadvantage in our
Mm,
society if
mm,
we are not benefiting to the same extent, closing that digital divide and making sure that our communities are part of the smart cities grid, not the last to receive, but at the heart and the core of its
mm,
development, then we will be relegating our children and grandchildren to
Mm.
second class citizenship as a result of that. Because we in our physical world, we know what that has meant. Our absence in these spaces has meant that we have been, for the most part, um, marginalized as
mm,
well as exploited.
Mm.
And that exploitation adds to the harm because we are discriminated against on certain platforms, and the same harms that we experience. When we go and sit before a banker is the same thing that we'll face when we're applying for a loan online. So,
mm,
that is a huge part of where we have to have a presence right now. Is our virtual lives are working in tandem with our physical lives in a way in which we only could have imagined prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now it's here. It's front and center. And I'm excited about the fact that the Biden Harris administration has begun making those investments and
Mm.
understanding that underserved communities have to be at the heart of this, have to be at the core of this, have establish an FCC that understands that there is a digital divide and we have to close it by having an affordable connectivity program. There are a whole host of ways in which I think that we are poised to make gains. I'm not going to say win the battle yet, but we are certainly gaining momentum towards the win.
Now, to stand there, smart cities, right? So I've been doing the knowledge, reading up the smart city, so-called 15-minute cities. Like, how close are we to that? Is that a thing of the future? Is it 10 to 12 years away? How close are we to those smart city concepts?
So, when you're dealing with state by state, it's difficult to say, right? Because we're not all starting at the same baseline. But what I can say is that every jurisdiction in this country has access to funding through Department of Energy, through through HUD, Housing and Urban Development, to make these investments. One of the things that I did was I embedded a piece of legislation that would make communities of color, Black communities in particular, underserved communities, on the front lines for the charging stations that need to be set up as we move into the EV space, because you can't want everyone to adopt a smart city when your city doesn't have the grid or the tools to be able to make sure that every person living in our civil society has access to the tools, and that's just part of an example of some of the work that has to be done. There's not a piece of policy that's moving that we're not examining to make sure that there aren't adverse impacts to our communities, and or that our communities have to wait decades to be able to enjoy what we know has to be a way of life for our people, given the technological era that we have entered into.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
All right, Congresswoman Yvette Clark. I appreciate you so much for stopping by.
Always a pleasure.
Sharing with us.
Yes. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Jessica Myers, too,
It's
for
my
making
honor.
it happen.
And Greg, it's good to see you once again. It's been some time.
Always.
Yes.
Always.
And
Too long.
thank you, brothers, for keeping it real for our community. And I look forward to being on your program once again.
Well, this is your program, Congresswoman. Anytime please, we are here. You are our voice, and we are honored. And yeah, it's been too long. We definitely look forward to seeing you real soon. Maybe this week down at the CBC. So it's good.
Absolutely. And may I just close by
please
asking for a reflection on the anniversary of 9/11. We lost a lot of sisters and brothers during that attack. And many of us remain traumatized to this day, seeing terrorism up close and personal. And so I just want to send prayers and blessings to those families who on this day have, a lot of anguish, remembering their loved ones who were taken from us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Congresswoman, for saying that. I mean, we think about the heroes, the fire people and the police that come. We think about the stockbrokers. But if you're not from New York, or if you don't know that area, you don't know there's a lot of our people, Black people, who were vending, who were out in front of those buildings, who were down in the bowels of the world. Thank you. And you've always made that point. Thank you very much, because those are the folk that get lost in the conversation, and you never let that happen. So thank you.
Many blessings, my brothers, and thank you for having me.
Blessings to you, sister.